Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao, and thank you for joining us for the news today. The president has signed off on a pay raise for Taiwan's troops, and that's set to take effect next year. But there's still some controversy over how the budget was approved. Hamilton reports.
Taiwan's military is roughly 150,000 strong, made up of a volunteer force. All young men are required to serve for a year, but only a relatively small number stay in the military, usually looking for other opportunities and better compensation elsewhere. But that could change. Taiwan's presidential office has approved plans to increase pay for all volunteer soldiers by about $1,000 a month, a move that some people in Taiwan say is a good step towards the future. But the way Taiwan is increasing troops' pay has raised concern from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, and the cabinet. The legislature is controlled by the opposition Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party. They passed the amendment to raise soldiers' pay, increasing the overall budget by about $1 billion annually. Under law, the legislature is supposed to discuss major budget proposals with the cabinet, but it did not.
The
KMT says that the DPP isn't doing enough to help the country's armed forces.
当初所有民进党的立法委员就是对不起军人，沈伯洋他们一直大声讲说要抗中保台，但是却对我们的军人的薪资、军人的尊严不闻不问。
The increase in pay is set to take effect starting on January 1st, but there are still questions about the legality of the law and how to enforce it. When discussing raising the overall defense budget, the Defense Ministry has said it welcomes more resources as long as they are in line with procedure. But whether this increase follows procedure could take a while to figure out. Justin Wu and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's biggest music awards were handed out at the Taipei Arena on Saturday night. Cadence Caranta takes a look at the big winners.
This is the Golden Melody Awards, the most prestigious music awards in the Mandarin-speaking world. Competing for prizes in over 20 categories, artists from Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and South Korea. One of the night's biggest winners, singer-songwriter Siri Lee, who won the coveted Album of the Year award with an album written in Taiwanese Daigi. Lee also won Best Taiwanese Album and Best Female Taiwanese Singer. Best Mandarin Male Singer went to Taiwanese hip-hop star Trout Fresh.
我妈以前小时候会酸我说：“你以后长大要当周杰伦哦。”妈，这是我最接近周杰伦的样子。
Trout Fresh also won Best Mandarin Album for Good Sound with Attitudes, an album he said was inspired by a friend who suddenly died. Best Mandarin Female Singer went to Taiwanese singer and DJ Hua Wei, whose 2024 album Ordeal by Pearls features songs in a variety of music styles.
其实这一次专辑就是用了很多不一样的唱腔，然后想要挑战不一样的情绪，就像我刚刚说，很像在健身，你一定要痛过，你一定要去练了，你才会知道那个感觉。
Following the awards, Taiwan's premier congratulated the winners on social media, writing in a statement, "May all musicians stand up in the free land of Taiwan and continue to shine on the world stage." The night celebrating performance, songwriting, and composing, honoring prominent achievements in those categories from across the region. Joseph Wu and Cadence Caranta for TaiwanPlus.
As Taiwan celebrates its musicians, let's take a look at one composer who is using her works to raise awareness. On our interview show Zoom In, Zoom Out, Jeremy Olivier spoke with Shih-hui Chen about her piece 3 Pinches of Salt and what message she's trying to send.
What is the story that you're trying to tell with 3 Pinches of Salt?
My previous 2 works, it's about identity, and then another one's about preservation of the environment and language and culture. And it's somehow really heavy, and I feel like I want something fun about food, right? And so this is about preservation of food. As I developed with the director and the creative team in Taiwan, we gradually, it's about human contact connections. In this story, there's a son and mother Son tried to make the kimchi, the pickles, reproducing the mother's, the way she made it. So there's death in life, and then how we pickle food because we wanted to preserve it, and then we bring something decay to life and nutrient our body. As I beginning to work on this theme, I was very surprised. I don't know why was I surprised that kimchi is universal, and wine is universal, and this is back to the idea about the of identity, that we are all the same. You know, we should not thinking about it's your culture, your food, your pickle, and my pickle. And we human beings in different culture has an ancient way of preserving food, and we could work together. So back to my very heavy topic, and before that, about identity is my opera is about bringing people together rather than dividing people.
Wonderful. You know, of course, as you've been saying, there's this strong food element in this piece. And I think in one iteration there was a food tasting, which is not something you'd normally see in a classical music concert. So what was your motivation for incorporating
Well, actually we do, right? There's always reception. There's always reception after concert, right? But it's like separate, you know, there's concert, there's a reception, they're two separate things. What would happen if we bring them together, right? And then, of course, we want to bring the preservative food, the kimchi, this pickle thing, and then make people aware the wine you're tasting and the pickle you're eating or is in the food, it's universal, it's ancient and old, and it's all cultural, right? And as I discovered these interesting facts in our different culture and life, I hope that the audience can discover that as well.
So like many of your other works, I mean, this is essentially music theater. It has a very strong visual element. So why is it important for your audiences to see the messages and the stories in your pieces like this one, rather than just hear them?
Wow, we just went through a pandemic, right? We're not going back. I was in Zoom for two and a half years, and I'm so used to this visual elements too. And I feel I still write abstract music. I just finished one, premiered in Chicago. But their storytelling has a lot to offer to connect to the audience. My music, I was told that it's avant-garde and new music, and it's hard to listen. But then if you have storytelling and to convey what you try to say, I think you can bring the audience into your life and vice versa. And so I think storytelling is a really good way of connecting with the audience.
And a question I want to ask right after that is, you know, as somebody who I was trained in classical music, I'm curious how you come up with your pieces. Do you hear the music first? Do you visualize it? How does it come to you?
If it's a piece of abstract music, I hear it, and that's first. I know the whole piece before I even put it down, because structure is so important. But with the storytelling pieces, you need to think about the concept first, right? I mean, what are you trying to tell? For example, this idea of a food preservation, it's not just eating food. Underneath is you want to tell people, hey, we are the same. You know, German or Japanese or Taiwanese, we all have a similar kind of culture in preserving food. So let's work together. Our world is going crazy, divided and, you know, fighting and this and that. And as a musician, what can I do? I go demonstration, of course, but I think my forte is to use my music as a vehicle to tell the audience, tell the people, hey, have you thought about this? What do you think about this? And they might agree, they might disagree, but that's okay. I see that's a form of expression for myself. It's important to let people be aware of a musician can be also active and be part of a society.
That was composer Shih-hui Chen. You can find the full conversation on the TaiwanPlus website. Search Zoom in, Zoom out. Grapplers from across Taiwan gathered in Taichung for the 10th Kodiak Cup Jiu-Jitsu tournament. More than 80 Jiu-Jitsu of all ages, genders, and nationalities competed in central Taiwan. Host team Bears Den delivered standout performances alongside fighters from Kaohsiung, BJJ, PMA, Cobra Kai, and 10th Planet Taiwan. Now in its 10th edition, the tournament highlights the growing popularity of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the country. Australia remains the top destination for Taiwanese youth for a working holiday. And in 2025, the number of people making the trip is set to be back on par with pre-COVID levels. Lauren Patmore sees why thousands of people are heading down under and how they come back changed.
Alan Jian is heading to work in his Australia-themed cafe in Taipei, inspired by the 3 years he spent on a working holiday there. His experience in Australia opened up doors to continue exchanges and make connections.
像现在，像开店以后，还蛮多外国人来的，你其实就可以跟他们对话。那可能去澳洲之前，我这些 conversation 我可能完全没办法。
In just over 10 years, more than 110,000 Taiwanese have made the trip to Australia under this program, which allows them to live, travel and take short-term jobs while exploring the country. One of these people is Mike Shi.
Because I was a police officer in Taiwan, so I will say I don't like the environment, so I quit.
He arrived in November 2023, working in designer clothing after 7 years in the police force in Taipei. He says he picked Australia because of its reputation of being simple to obtain a visa, the higher pay on offer, and the country's popularity among Taiwanese. He's extended his 1-year visa to add another year and wants to travel elsewhere afterward.
I think my learning is just, if you want to do something, just go for it. And if you don't try, you never know.
For Ray Lai from Jiayi in southern Taiwan and now living in Taipei, the hardest part of her 2 years away was coming home. Back in 2019, she remembers life there feeling easier and being less stressed.
So it's kind of feel like if you're willing to work hard, and then you will get a certain amount of money that can provide you with like a lifestyle that you want.
Ray mainly worked in a meat factory in the rural town of Gundagai, population 1,700, but also explored the country's landscapes, ticking off major cities. Her time overseas made her see things differently.
Your job doesn't represent you as a person, but I think that's something that I slowly learned after I was like in Australia and until now. And I think that is a very valuable experience that is kind of hard for people maybe never leave Taiwan to understand.
But the working holiday isn't always a dream. Mike and Ray did shifts on blueberry farms briefly where the pay was low and work laborious. In recent years, unions in Australia have called for a government inquiry into underpayment and poor working conditions on these farms. Last year, Taiwan's representative office in Brisbane also warned of rising scams targeting young Taiwanese in the country. One tourist went temporarily missing after one scam. Despite these challenges, Australia remains a popular destination for working holiday makers. Experts have been speaking to me, saying returnees act as informal ambassadors, bringing back language skills and cultural insights. The people-to-people ties are deepened, creating a soft power between the two countries. It's a vision Alan shares.
之后的话，可能觉得可能会再办，像前阵子有办一些澳洲的讲座活动，对，那我觉得主要就是以澳洲为主嘛，所以之后的话可能也会继续办活动啊。
From making coffee to working in factories, the working holiday experience gave Mike, Ray and Alan more than just a paycheck. It brought new perspectives. Despite hardships, for many Taiwanese, Australia is a place for more opportunities to see the world and make meaningful connections. Chris Ma, Jeffrey Chen and Lauren Patmore for TaiwanPlus.
And thanks again for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. For more of our news reports in your feed, follow us on social media or download our app. Finally, take a look at Squid Game fans gathering in Seoul to celebrate the show's final season. There's an event for Season 3 here in Taipei as well. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.